Hello and welcome back to another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Producer Trace, and I'm going to be breaking down the 20-10 loss that the Saints just had against the Green Bay Packers during preseason week 2. Overall, I was pretty impressed. I think there's a lot more things that the Saints need to work on in order to get where they need to be to succeed during the regular season. All in all, though, I wasn't too disappointed. So I want to start off the show with what is your one-word reaction to the loss? My one-word reaction would probably be unfortunate because there was just so many plays that I felt like if the defense would have been able to just capitalize on one pass breakup, or if they would have gotten one sack, or if there would have been a holding penalty or an offsides penalty, then the game could have gone a lot differently. Overall, I was very, very disappointed in Book. I mean, he played the entire game, guys. He looked really, really nervous in the pocket. I mean, I saw a lot of him scrambling around, trying to extend plays, and, credit where it's due for him trying to make the play last longer and try to make something happen when there really wasn't anything there. But too many times did I see him just tuck the ball and go and just try and make something, a 2-3 yard gain when, at the end of the day, maybe he could have just either thrown it away or put a little slant pass or hit your check down guy, Zigbo or Tony Jones Jr. or Abram Smith. I was really, really disappointed because he's so far on the roster bubble. You would expect a little bit more if you asked for me. I think that he did look really good on that 20-yard pass to Chris Olave. So, congrats to Ian Book on getting his first NFL touchdown. Credit where it's due. That 27-yard scramble towards the end of the game, that was pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. I was really, really impressed. And, of course, the new kicker, Romo, couldn't get those extra 3 points. Stinks. I really, really wish that would have capitalized on some points. Overall, I'm just over Ian Book. It's time to move on. The 4th-round draft pick, in my opinion, was questionable when it happened. And I think we've seen enough. And I was a firm, not protector, but I was a firm defender of Ian Book for a little bit because I thought he got put into a pretty unfortunate situation last season whenever he got his first start. And, you can't really expect too much from a rookie quarterback when you have a ton of players out because of COVID and a ton of players hurt. And, you're getting thrown into a really crazy situation. And I tried to have his back and I tried to be like, no, let's give him a little bit more reps, give him some more time, let him develop. I'm over it, guys. I think that Ian Book just needs to go. I think that if the Saints were to cut Ian Book, it frees up a roster spot for a player like Lucas Kroll or Rasheed Shaheed or Abram Smith or some of these other guys that we aren't quite ready to get rid of, but we know that there's a little bit more that we could expect more from. So I think that interception that he threw late in the second, obviously, that wasn't necessarily all his fault. Taysom Hill slipped. The rain was definitely, a factor in tonight's game. There, Abram Smith, Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill all slipped in different passes or in different runs. And honestly, you have to give credit to Mike Abernathy. That was just a phenomenal pick. That diving catch, extending the body, you can't really knock it. It was pretty impressive. So, I mean, just all in all, my rant about Ian Book, he's got to go. I'm over it. As a Saints fan, I expect so much more, and there's such high expectations, and I don't think that you need to keep Ian Book around because at the end of the day, emergency quarterback, you could just go with Taysom Hill if you ask me. I'm going to kind of shift to Trevor Penning because I want to give some mad props to him. I think that he bounced back extremely well this week. I think after the last preseason game against the Texans, he had that 90 overall or that 90.9 overall PFF grade right after the game ended, and it was the highest among a rookie offensive player. And, credit where it's due, he played really well at times, but he made a lot of mistakes, had a lot of penalties, and it was kind of frustrating to watch at times. But I have to say, today, it was a very different lineman that I watched. I think that he looked significantly better in pass protection. I think his run blocking lived up to what we expected. This is why we decided to take him in the first round. I think that he really looked great, and he honed in his aggression. He was tossing dudes left and right. He was finishing blocks. I mean, he was pancaking guys left and right. I was extremely impressed with Trevor Penning because we didn't really get to see that. And these are quality reps against a quality defensive line. And this is what develops a player best. I'm really happy to see that Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael got with the offensive line coaches, and I got with Trevor Penning and had him just nail that in to make sure that he could be the best player that we need him to be, because that position's big. James Hurst, as we know, he had that little minor ankle injury. We aren't necessarily sure if it's going to be a big deal or if he's going to miss time in the regular season. I don't really think he will, but we want Trevor Penning to work out in the long run. So I think these are all really, really good steps. And guys, I want to give a quick reminder. Be sure to subscribe, because no Saints channel is doing what we're doing here. We're giving you, right after the game is over, I'm hopping on and giving my instant reactions and analysis. We're doing Saints news, rumors, coverage, updates, mailbags, all of it, all season long. Be sure to subscribe. There's over 8,000 subscribers. We're trying to hit 9K by week 1. I know we can do it. I know that we got it in us. I'm very, very proud to finally be getting to do more with the Saints channel, guys, and I just want to keep doing more content, and the best way I can do that is if y'all hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video. So I want to kind of turn to Chris Olave, because, oh my gosh, give me more of him right now. Give me more of him ASAP. I was so happy. I was so pleased. 2 catches, 28 yards, 1 for a touchdown. Woo! I mean, oh, he's living up to the hype. He looked so good. He did such a great job. It was such a routine catch for him because he did such a good job of finding that extra space and finding that open field area and just pushing off the defender, giving him a little nudge, creating some contact and bouncing out to the side and getting that space. And all he had to do was just walk on into the end zone. I mean, he had a really, really nice, he started the night with a great 8-yard screen just right behind the line of scrimmage. Kind of zigged and zagged, got up the field like we know he can. I'm just so excited for Chris Olave, guys. I think that we all just need to start spamming 12 in the chat, spam 12 in the comment section. Let me know how excited you are for Chris Olave to be a New Orleans Saint, because this receiving core is going to be so much more fun than last season, and I cannot wait to watch what they can do. And I just really can't wait to see what he does with Jameis Winston. He balled out and he looked pretty solid with Ian Book, so you know, it's going to be a lot better, let's be honest, guys. And I would be remiss if I did not give a massive shout out to Wil Lutz, because, oh baby, 59-yard field goal. That guy still has it. I mean, this is just huge for the Saints. Having Wil Lutz back, we've talked about this on the channel a couple times, guys. Having Wil Lutz back is so big, because if you think back to the Giants and Titans, games specifically, those were games that were lost by 1 possession. You kick a field goal, very different outcomes. And you make your extra points and very different outcomes, I also want to give a really big shout out, good looks to Dennis Allen for calling that timeout right before the kick happened, because he had the wind coming to him, called the timeout, the wind was in his back, made it even easier. And on a 59-yard field goal, everything is a factor. So you just want to limit the amount of obstacles that Wil Lutz has to get through to, nail that field goal. And I mean, he probably could have made it from 65. I'm not kidding. That ball, he booted that thing, and it was right down the middle. Wil Lutz is so back. Oh, I cannot wait to have him back. It is just incredible to see him back. Gotta love Wil Lutz. And also, Tony Jones Jr., in regards to the RB3 battle, his stock is shooting up. He definitely is leading the RB3 battle, I would say. Divine Azigbo, I would say, started a little bit slow, and then later in his reps, he had a lot better touches. He was being a little bit more efficient with the ball, finding open space, and making a little bit more cuts. I also think that he was a grinder on special teams. He was incredibly impressive. He was able to take a 27-yard kick return and a 39-yard kick return that ended up getting called back because of a penalty. But he was making tackles on kick and punt return. He was returning balls. His stock is so up. Tony Jones Jr. is doing everything he can in his power to prove that he wants to wear the black and gold this season and on that 53-man roster. And I think that it's great. And I shout out to Tony Jones Jr. I really hope to see him succeed. I would love to see him on the roster as that RB3. And that's going to kind of take me into Abram Smith, guys. I wasn't necessarily happy with how little they used Abram Smith. I think that it was kind of unfair for him to not get into the game till really late last week against the Texans. And then this week, we didn't see him until the second half. Credit where, granted, Tony Jones Jr. was lighting it up, and you got Divine Azigbo, and those are probably the upper 2 guys in that RB3 battle. But I think that he did do pretty good with his reps that he had. Of course, he slipped a couple times. He had a couple, good tackles by the defense that got him, he could have broken off for a couple more yards or gotten 5-6 yards, but only got 1 or 2. I think that he needs to do a little bit more in the passing game. I really admired how well he fought for extra yards and didn't just go down. But what I will say is he's might need to do a little bit more if he wants to make this roster, because there's just a lot of talent, guys, and it's a business. And, it's nothing personal. I really am pulling for Abram Smith. I've been pulling for him. I've been pulling for Lucas Kroll. I've been pulling for Rasheed Shaheed. I was pulling for Smoke Monday before he tore his ACL. And all I got to say, guys, is I just really hope it works out, and I want to see him do a little bit more in this next preseason game. So my next question for you guys is grade the Saints' performance today. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. Overall, I would say probably a B, B-. I wasn't necessarily disappointed. I wanted to see a little bit more, so I'd go B-, C+. And I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, BetUS. If you guys want to get in on the latest betting odds for the NFC South, you can actually do that with our friends over at BetUS. The promo code, or you can use the website chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code chat125, and you will get an 125% deposit bonus. Excuse me. So sorry, guys. I'm so excited from the Saints game. I'm happy to have Saints football back, so just bear with me. Apologies. But you guys can bet on the NFC South odds right now. The Buccaneers, are leading the odds. The Saints are the number 2. Falcons are number 3, or Panthers number 3. Falcons are number 4. Whatever. They're all bad. So it's going to be obviously between the Saints and the Buccaneers. There's really good value at the Saints. You guys should really check it out. Like I said, chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code chat125 in order to get that 125 deposit bonus. So let's talk about defense. I'm not going to lie, guys. I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous with the lower depth that we have in our secondary. There was a lot of passes that were just over the middle, or deep passes that fortunately were bad passes from Jordan Love, bad drops. Maybe it was a good deep, but there was just a lot of open field, a lot of over the middle that I just was not very comfortable with. I didn't really like seeing how exposed they got. But what I will say is I don't think that there's a lot to really worry about. I mean, we'll have Tyrann Mathieu, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We'll have, Marcus May. We'll have all these guys locking it down. Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo. We're going to be fine on our first team defense. As long as we stay healthy, I think that we don't really have too much to worry about. I think the run defense started pretty strong, struggled a little bit later in the game, but I will give a big shout out to the front 4. I think Malcolm Roach specifically and Taco Charlton had pretty good games. Malcolm Roach was all over the field. And also big shout out to John Bostic. He was all over the field tonight. He was racking up tackles. He had over 6 tackles tonight. He had a pass breakup. He was doing great job. He was doing a great job in pass defense. He definitely stood out in linebacker, in my opinion, and I know that that's a big linebacker battle right now. There's going to be some depth that's going to get cut out as we make these roster cuts, but I do have to acknowledge the 51-yard touchdown run by Danny Etling. Come on, guys! Are you kidding me? We're better than that. It happens. It's whatever. That's just unfortunate, but. Shifting to Taysom Hill, looked honestly pretty solid at tight end. It was pretty fun to watch him. He had a nice little 10-yard screenplay. It's exciting to see him play in that tight end position. Of course, he had a bad slip that resulted in a touchdown, or an interception, but I also think that, the rain was a factor. You got to let him more so get used to what his specific role is and stuff. I'm not making excuses for him, but I will say for his first outing at tight end, I was pretty happy and I was pretty pleased, and it makes me really excited. We all know what he can do. So just kind of final thoughts. All in all, I was pretty pleased. I wish the outcome would have been a little bit different. I wish that we would have had a little bit better of defensive play, and I wish that in the second half that the offense could really get rolling. But, it was a great job by Kirk Merritt. He had a phenomenal 59-yard kick return. He's really fast, guys. He found the open space incredibly well. Credit to his blocking, because that special teams looked incredible. I mean, I know that was a big focus for the Saints during training camp this week, and it definitely showed. He did muff his second kick return, but he still returned it for 28 yards. I mean, he's quick, he's shifty, and he almost had a really, really nice catch along the sideline when he was laying out trying to get a diving catch kind of towards the end of the game. He was getting a lot of looks and a lot of targets, so I think that Kirk Merritt is definitely, his stock is rising, and I think that we should expect to see a little bit more from him as we continue to watch the preseason unfold and roster cuts start happening. Blake Gillikin. Ooh! 81-yard punt? What? I mean, wow. We're good. Good stuff. Like, let's ride. I hope we don't have to punt too much, but, I think we're good if we need to. That was incredible. And if it weren't for a little bounce, I think it would have stayed in play. It wouldn't have been a touchback. And, 81 yards is extremely impressive. I don't even know what else to say other than that. We're going to be fine on punts. I can promise you that, guys. Rasheed Shaheed, I really wish we saw him take a kick return or punt return. We haven't seen him do it yet. The guy was a beast at Weber State, 7 touchdowns, school record and I'm pretty sure conference record for touchdowns returned. Lucas Kroll, he had a touchdown pass, but he pushed off and he got called for offensive pass interference. It was nice to see him get a target in the end zone. I just want to see him, not get a penalty and have that result in points. Would have been a little bit more impressive. Plus, we would have lost 20-17 essentially, or 20-16 instead of 20-10 with that missed field goal at the end. Special teams, like I said, looked really, really good. I was very impressed with the kick return and punt return defense. It looked like they were really quick to get into the ball. It looked like they were really quick to attacking the runner, and they were able to maintain pretty short fields and contain the kick returners, and I was just very, very happy with it all in all. So my final question to you guys before I get out of here is, who disappointed you most versus the Packers? Let me know down in the comments. And before I get out of here, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Trace Girouard 48. Give me a follow. I was live tweeting the game. I was giving my analysis, giving my instant reactions to plays. I'm always talking about the Saints. I'm always down to chit-chat over DMs and stuff. Just give me a shout. Hit me up. And be sure to turn on notifications because we're just getting started. Football season, it's here. We ain't slowing down. And it's going to be a lot of fun this season, guys. We're trying to make some big strides and get some good growth this season. So, join the ride. Join the Who Dat Nation. If you're a real one, type Eat Dat W. We stay devouring W's here at Chat Sports. And before I head out of here, Who Dat Nation, stay golden.